Last name?
You think that how many things would go down in a situation like this, it's supposed to be had. Since I was thank you all for coming. Thank you for being flexible. Apologizing probably inappropriately for our side, ability to set up the room, rented the room, everything was in agreement. Luckily, our town administrator had a proviso in the town warrant which stated that the meeting would be either at a town school or in case of construction at the town office. So therefore, that makes this meeting legal proceeding. We're gonna move on as if nothing happened, we were scheduling nothing. Thank you now, because we're small, I think we're going to forgive coming to the microphone, because it's just not very important. But what I'm gonna ask you to do, if you wish to speak, and you need to be recognized by the moderator. You need to stand, you need to give your name, your address. Only town residents are allowed to speak unless authorized by the town meeting vote. Okay, so that's kind of the rules. Now, another rule would be. And here, please raise your hand and the moderator or the select board will try to summarize the question. Or maybe the person. All just be as flexible as you can. Okay. So at last meeting, there was a question of what would happen? Why don't the voters know how much their taxes are gonna go up if everything passes? This is a valid question. Municipal budgeting is really complicated, so I'm gonna tell you how much money your tax bill will go up if everything passes. That's an estimate, but it's as close as we can get. Now, if one thing doesn't pass, it's on you to take out your phones and do the math. Right? But to our best reckoning, on a $325,000 home, if everything passes, taxes will go up $500. Now, there needs to be some clarification. The mill rate probably won't go up. The mill rate will be somewhere between 17.5 and 18. What's gone up, if you haven't noticed, valuation. All homes have miraculously increasing value in the last. That is the reason why your taxes are big. It lowers everything on. Now, the select board do not spend any money unless it's approved by the town. So if your taxes go up $500, don't call me up. This is your opportunity. We have had 2 public meetings, public hearings. The warrant has been on the website for about a month. So you've had due warning what's gonna happen. Please make your questions concise. Try to answer them. If that's it. Let me make sure. How far is the line up with?
Hundreds, no.
Another half dozen. So we'll. So I'm gonna let. Chesney kill some time. Chesney was elected moderator. Chesney. Thank you. If you got a little more time, I'm gonna add my wife to the back end.
Okay.
You should come at me.
Yes, I will. Good evening, everyone. This meeting is being recorded. It will be posted to the town's YouTube channel. Is that correct? Okay, and we welcome you here. Just some housekeeping stuff. Again, welcome to this Palos June 17th, 2024 annual town meeting. First, some housekeeping items. If there's no objection, I'll be guided by the main moderator's manual in supervising the conduct of the meeting. Any objections? Okay. All registered voters who have checked in are permitted to vote. Visitors or non-registered residents are requested to remain at the back of the room and may be permitted to speak only with the consent of at least 2/3 of the voters present. That is actually incorrect. A non-registered but resident of the town can speak without the 2/3 approval. I stand corrected on that. I'll now ask for a show of hands to permit the town employees to sit where they'd like to and to answer any questions that might arise. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, I'll take that as 2/3 test being met. Our town employees will be allowed to speak as necessary. A reminder that any person may not speak before being recognized by myself, the moderator. Once recognized, speakers are asked to stand and speak loud enough for everyone to hear. Then the first time someone is speaking, please state your name and address so everyone knows who you are. Please address all remarks to the moderator and remember to be respectful of others' points of view, even if you happen to disagree. And I'll make sure that everyone who wishes to speak is allowed to, but reserve the right to terminate discussion when all relevant viewpoints have been heard. Articles 3 through 7 relate to repeal, adoptions, and/or amendments to ordinances are by law up or down votes. Discussion is allowed, but any proposed amendments to the articles as written will be deemed out of order. Unless a written vote is requested, I'll ask for a hand count on these articles, and I'll also ask for a hand count on Article 33, which relates to an easement. Any questions? Everyone checked in now? Patrick? Assuming so, we're going to go to Article 3. Shall ordinance entitled 2024 Amendments to the Pownell Solid Waste Collection and Disposal Ordinance be enacted? There are copies of that here. We'll have a hand count. Do I have a motion? Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second? Moved and seconded. Open to discussion. Any questions on this one? Sir, in the back.
I've been grabbing that. Do we still have to pay for bags to go with these prices?
I think that's the subject of the article itself. Would someone care to speak to that? Yeah, the question is, if this is repealed, correct me if I'm wrong, Rodney, but if this is repealed, would residents still need to pay for the bags going forward with the new containment system?
Richard, if it's repealed, we will not have to pay for the bags. The bags will no longer be at the grocery stores. It won't be the main market. And when we get to that line item in the budget for the solid waste and recycling committee, if it was repealed, I will be standing up to say what the new number of budget would be at that time for us to vote on.
Any other questions? Hang on, I'll come back to you, Rodney. Sir?
Alan Bradstreet, 56 Falmouth Road. I'm guessing this is all going to get answered later on. It's a preemptive thing. We're sort of voting to change the this whatever it is regulation.
Solid waste ordinance, yeah.
Ordinance in preparation for making a change, and we're not talking about the change until later. So this is preemptive to be voting for this right now. I don't quite. I mean, you're essentially this thing is saying that we're making a change, and we're not gonna pay for bags anymore, but we're gonna have carts, it's gonna be a different system.
It's a great question, Alan. I will entertain a discussion on the upcoming changes because I think they are germane to this article. Does someone care to speak to what the changes under the contract with Casella are coming up this next month?
So as you may or may not know, our trash hauler has changed from a two-bay system, or will change from a two-bay system, to robotic arm pickup. And in doing that, everybody in the town is gonna get two bins. And one bin will be for your trash, and one bin will be for recycling. The reason why this ordinance is on the first part of the warrant is that the town has to decide. Do you want to continue to have the pay to throw ordinance in collaboration with a new trash pickup? Now, the select board felt like it would be superfluous, that you should no longer have to pay for bags, just put them in a bin, be dumped into the bucket. But there's another side to it that says if you have to pay for the bags, you would be less wasteful. Okay, so that's the two sides of the discussion. So you're voting on whether or not to eliminate the bags. Paying enough for the trash as it is, so it would just be to self-monitor trash pickup and recycling. That answer your question? We are changing, we have to change, we signed a contract with Casella, we had no option, we have to change. So it's going to the robot arm. This article is only asking whether the town wants to repeal the pay, throw, and eliminate the bag.
You like,
So,
I'll be right back to you, Rodney.
yeah, a couple questions. First of all, will we be paying for these bins or is Casella providing?
Yeah, again, if you could direct your questions to me and rather than one-on-one conversations. Heidi,
I'm happy to try to give a synopsis of what's going on financially
and I believe that you're the chair of the Solid Waste Committee, is that correct?
Yes, I'm the chair of
Thank
the
you.
Solid Waste and Recycling Committee and I've been following this for a few years now. And this messaging has been coming out for over a year to the town, and it was in the write-up of the year review in last year's town meeting as well. Last year, our contract was up with Casella, or over a year ago, really. And so we had to sign the contract with a new hauler for Casella. And we put out bids to all the different haulers in the area. And the only hauler that actually responded to our bid was Casella. And all the other contracted haulers only do commercial at this point. And Durham got the same message that we got, and really all the other towns in the area got the same message that we got as well. And when they handed us the contract was only for an automatic system. There was no alternative to that contract. It was not a contract we were happy about seeing for many reasons, and the cost is just one of them. But our committee has, and the select board, I think many people have concern about how effective is this going to be in town when we have 40% of our roads are dirt roads. And I really did put up a stink for our town with Casella and at EcoMaine board meetings. And I've been advocating, and our other members have been advocating, that we're pretty concerned about moving to this system. But we had to sign that contract last year, otherwise our trash would have just been piling up at our houses without somebody picking it up. So we signed that contract. It's a 5-year contract. We're now 1 year into that contract. We have to do this for 4 years. The bin price is split over the 5 years. So it is just you know, it's not, we're not paying for it all in one shot, but it's going to be divided over that next few years. Our committee, I'd love for anyone else to join our committee to help figure this out, because this is not, I wouldn't say the easiest thing to navigate. But we would love to, if in that, these next 4 years, we have other options other than just this one big company coming in and saying, this is what you gotta do and that's it. We would love somebody to help us with some creative options, and, we've heard a lot of ideas, but we need help trying to pursue those ideas. And some ideas of the past, I think it was Kermit Wentworth, right? That in his calling, and that's really hard to come by these days, but we still would love to pursue any ideas that are available. From a cost perspective, Rodney, back to your question on the bags and pricing for the pros and cons of going from what we're voting on right now in this Article 3, is that we can keep the pay-as-you-throw bags if the town wants to do that. So by doing that, we're going to spend $12,000 in addition to what we currently would be paying for the contract of Just Bins. And what that does, if we were to pay that, you still have to go to wherever you get your bags from currently to purchase the bags at that time. And that would keep the waste down. You just put in there what you produce, and that's that. And it does help households produce less waste and recycle more. There's a lot of data showing that. If we move away, the thing is that if we move to the bins, there is not a system that we as have decided to go with at the moment that could see if you're actually throwing the bag out in your trash bin. So there's no way for us to monitor who's putting those bags in, who's not using those bags. What ends up happening if we were to go to a no bag, town bag system, is that you can just buy the bags that you want to at the grocery store and put the amount of waste that you need to in your trash bin. What potentially could happen in a financial way for our town is that people will not be as mindful about the amount of waste that they're producing anymore, how much they're recycling. What happens on the financial end is that our tipping fees, that's the term used when the trucks get dumped at EcoMaine, that they actually get weighed, and we get a fee for how much tonnage is dumped from Pownell residents at EcoMaine. Because we produce a small amount of waste, I think we're actually we're one of the smallest towns, but our numbers are really good compared to some of the other towns around us. We have lower tipping fees, which you'll see on the budget later on in the articles, that you'll see how much we pay for tipping fees right now for both recycling and for solid waste. And for the solid waste end of it, there's potential for that number to go up this year. And because people are not going to be as mindful about the tax. We kind of calculated a little bit for that for this year, but it's something that we will be monitoring closely as time goes on if we move away from the pay-as-you-throw system. So I think that is the moderator has
Okay.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Heidi.
Yeah.
Rodney?
Two-part question. One part is, I don't think the question was answered about who pays for the bins. I heard it got split over 5 years, but it doesn't say whether it's homeowner or the town. My other question is, we usually get our bags picked up around 1, 2 o'clock, then all of a sudden, once in a while, they come around at 7, you never knew. So when we go to these bins and it snows on a Friday, what does the town work out? So that if the plow pushes the bins back in, are they gonna come around later in the day or the next day? Or is the town gonna plow and then say, put the bins out at this time? So part question.
Okay, and I'm not trying to avoid the answer, Rodney, but the second question I'm going to deem out of order. It doesn't relate to the bag issue.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to bring it up so they had it.
Okay, thank you. The first part was, how is the cost, who is paying for the bins?
correct? And also, do you have to have both a trash one and a recycling one?
Heidi, yeah.
The first question is that we will be paying through taxation. There's no additional bill that's coming to your household outside of your taxation. Sorry, the second question, the answer to that is that whatever you put out, I think if you just put out one bin, that's okay. You don't have to bring both bins out to the, you don't have to, let's be honest, to the roadside, okay?
Okay, I have 3 hands up over here. I'm going to start, 4 hands. I'm going to start in the back. Sir, if you could stand up and identify yourself, please.
My question is, she mentioned that the bids would be paid through taxation. What is the cost of those 2 bins per household?
Okay. I'm actually going to, again, just because it's early in the evening and we want to keep moving, I'm going to rule that question out of order because it doesn't relate to the paper tag system. I think that question may be germane to Article 19 at that point in time.
I
Sure.
think it is germane because we're taking away one cost, we need to know what the new cost is.
Okay, point taken. Anybody care to respond? Okay, I'm going to answer this gentleman here. Yes, please identify yourself.
Michael Patz, 19 Layton Road. Our driveway is about 600 feet long, and we're not the only ones with a long driveway.
I found this on the web.
That's very cool. Maybe we should ask Siri, she has all the answers. And we don't have a pickup truck, so I don't know how to get those bins 600 feet down our driveway. And suggestion, would it be a possible solution to tag on to the Freeport system where they give you a punch card for each bag that you throw away? Wouldn't that be a more efficient system?
That's a question again, which is a good question, but I'm going to deem it inappropriate for this particular article. Again, refer back to Heidi, invite other people participating in the discussion with the committee itself. And recognize that I'm working forward, okay? Sir,
Yeah, Don Bell, 18 Stony Park.
you speak up a little? I'm sorry.
18 Stony.
Thank you.
We limited to 1 container, is that the needs of limiting trash for?
Heidi?
Yeah, you get 1 bin for recycling and 1 for, the waste. And because of the way that the arms come out and pick up, the bins are large, they're downstairs. When you go into the voting room, it's really able to look at them, but that would be the limitation. I believe that, if you're consistently making more than that, I can talk, but I think that that's when Freeport's, recycling center could be of use to us.
Yes.
Rebecca T, 40 Kettle Road. So it seems to me that by using the paper bag as well as the new trash cans, that we're in a sense paying twice for getting rid of our trash. Is that correct? Yeah. So, for people that are just filling 1 trash can instead of potentially several under the old system, by just having 1 trash can for trash instead of maybe 4, essentially it's been actually cut down on our waste.
Any other discussion? Sure.
Dan Cheney, 240 Bell Road. So my understanding is encapsulated is basically we're stuck with Casella for 4 years regardless, guys. We're paying for the trash cans. It's gonna come over spread out cost to us, and it really boils down to, do you want to pay twice for an idea that you're going to reduce trash, when in probability, if you ate 100 cans of beans in a year, you're still gonna eat 100 cans of beans. So do you want to pay twice, or do you want to pay once? So either repeal it and pay once, or you're gonna be paying twice for the same amount of coverage. With costs going up everywhere else, you look across the budgets, I don't think that it's a good intention, but I think it's a bad outcome. especially for people that are on fixed incomes that get considered the elderly in town.
Other questions or comments? I'm sorry, I'm going to ask for people, folks that haven't been heard before. Yes, ma'am. Can you identify yourself, please?
Bins have wheels too, so you can use whatever bag of your choice. Like biodegradable if you want.
Heidi, would you care to respond?
Bins have wheels, you can use any bag that you like, we are asking that it is in a bag, so that in a wind situation, if it was knocked over, that we don't have waste all over our streets. I do want to speak briefly to just the bag system. If this bag, if we go to repeal the bag pay-as-you-throw system right now, we can bring it back one day. We have the ordinance already. We have a relationship with the company that supplies the bags, and they have our logo. It would not, we've already talked to them, how soon could we get this back up and running? If we both want to put this back in, they said immediately. So that is something that in this 4-year time period, with our team researching it, if we find that this has not been a good move for our town, we can move back to that system. If we decide that we don't want to have hauling at all and we want to bring our waste to a neighboring town, we can bring it in the pay-as-you-throw bags that is weighed at that time, and that count will go pretty much back to the system that we had, but that we don't have hauling into it. We have a lot of things that we're considering. It's just going to take us time to look into that. And I just want to say that you will see other towns in the, or you might not see because it'll be in bins, but the other towns are sticking with their pay-as-you-throw system or bags. And the reason they're doing that is we're the only town that has voted that we only cover our shipping fees with the price of our bag sales. So when you buy this at your grocery store, I don't know if anyone has seen the price difference between Pownell bags and our neighboring town bags. Neighboring towns are at least double, sometimes 3 times the price of our bags. And that is because they're trying to make revenue off of the weight that is produced by their residents. We are not trying to do that, we never have, and so that is why the other towns are really working hard to keep that system.
Sir.
Yep, Dan Jean, 2.0 Road. So if your intention is to cut down on the waste with one option, then requiring bags to go inside of a bin, you have, say, 1,500 residents, that's at least 3,000 plastic bags that are going into a landfill somewhere. I don't know the sense that that would really make. If my trash bin flips over the raccoon versus bag open, when I put it out early, it's happening. I get the trash.
Any other comments or questions?
I mentioned the road, it was mentioned about the dirt road being 20% town, how that's more the trash truck with the arm. So my question is for those of us like myself, don't really have room for a truck turnaround or room clearance wise to put out those bins at the appropriated, I saw like 3 feet bin to 4 feet overhead clearance. How is that going to be maintained by the town and worked out for those of us that have off-road driveways?
Okay, again, I'm going to defer that, or I'm going to rule that not germane to this particular question. I think Article 19, that discussion can be held at that point in time. Yes. I will attempt to clarify that for you. If an affirmative vote on this article would amend the solid waste and disposal ordinance to stop the pay per tag system, the ordinance itself would still be in place, but the pay per tag portion of it, as amended and presented there and publicly disclosed before, would go away. So that would be an affirmative vote for this. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, I am going to bring it to a vote. This is going to be a hand count. All those in favor of Article 3, raise your hand. Okay. Thank you. All those opposed, raise your hands. The ayes have it. Any questions? Okay, Article 3 passes. Thank you. Article 4, shall the town vote to repeal the floodplain management ordinance originally enacted at the March 9, 2009 special town meeting, and any subsequent amendments, and further to enact an ordinance entitled 2024 floodplain management ordinance for the town of Pownell, enacted June 17, 2004, and effective June 20, 2024. Copy of the ordinance is available. Again, I'm going to make this a hand count. Do I have a motion? Sir, do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Article 4 as read. Any questions on this? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor of Article 4, raise your hands. Okay, thank you. All those opposed, raise your hand. I have the ayes have it. Thank you. Article 4 passes. Article 5, shall an ordinance entitled 2024 amendments to the Town of Pownell Land Use and Zoning Ordinance, Section 400 definitions be enacted. A copy of the ordinance is available over here. Again, this will be a hand count. Do I have a motion? Paul?
Article 5.
Thank you. And I will let you not have to stand each time do I have a second? I have a motion to accept Article 5. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded for Article 5. Any questions there? Seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor of Article 5, raise your hand. Opposed? Ayes have it. Article 5 passes. Article 6, shall an ordinance entitled 2024 Amendments to the Town of Pownell Land Use and Zoning Ordinance, Section 504 zoning districts be enacted. Copy of the ordinance has been made available. Again, this will be a hand count. Do I have a motion? Paul? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded for Article 6. Discussion. Any questions? Sir?
Can you give us a 2-cent summary of what that's really changing?
Someone's asked to have a 2-minute summary on what the changes are being made here. Someone care to respond to that? Sure.
Not all 386 Hallowell Road. I heard 2 seconds, not 2 minutes.
2 seconds. I'm sorry.
2 sentences, that's okay.
So these are changes to the ADU definition, and various other definitions to comply with the state statutes of LD 2003, which places requirements on municipalities throughout the state. Pownell is immunized or like accepted from a lot of those requirements, but as to ADUs and a few other pieces of it, we had to make changes in order to do so. We took the recommendations from our excellent town planner, Tom Mersha, who has provided an extraordinary amount of work to us. We had a couple of very minor changes.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing no hands, we'll bring it to a vote. Article 6. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed? Article 6 passes. Article 7, shall an ordinance entitled 2024 Amendments to the Town of Pownell Land Use and Zoning Ordinance, Section 600 Performance Standards be enacted. Again, copy has been made available. We're going to have a hand count. Do I have a motion? Paul? I have a second. We have moved and seconded. Any discussion? Article 7. Seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor of Article 7, raise your hand. Thank you. Opposed? Article 7 passes. Thank you. We'll move into voice votes at this point for the following items. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $155,000 for the Capital Project Fund. Select Board is recommending approval. Do I have a motion? Paul?
Move Article 8 as read.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Article 8, discussion, questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll bring Article 8 to a vote. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Article 8 passes. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate $300,000 from the unassigned fund balance to the capital project fund. The select board is recommending approval. Do I have a motion? Paul,
Move Article 9 is read.
second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Okay, Article 9, discussion, comments, questions.
No.
Alan.
that fund.
The
300 from. Bigger fund is that?
question is, what is the size of the unassigned fund balance at this point in time? I believe that would be a balance at the end of last fiscal year, which is when it's calculated. I'm going to allow our Becky to respond. She has that figure, I believe.
The June 30th audit amount was $2,156,149.
Any other questions or comments? Alan?
Okay, it sounds like there's quite a lot of money there. Can somebody perhaps give us, the logic behind it being 300,000 versus $1 million or 100,000?
Alan is asking, why the $300,000? Do I have someone who care to respond to that? Oh. Could you identify yourself, please?
Andrew O'Brien, Selectman, 54 Upper Minot Road. Every year, the capital projects interviews each department head as to what the prices are for the replacement costs of their capital items. This past year, due to inflationary costs, it was realized that if we continue at the same pace that we've been used to, we are not going to meet our goals 7 to 10 years out. So in order to boost that fund, we have decided on a number of 300,000 to get it to smooth that out for the coming years.
Alan?
Didn't answer my question. My question was really, how much is in the unassigned fund balance? And why we think 300? Clearly, we're gonna look at the total of 455. I'm not questioning that grand total, whether it be good or bad. What I'm saying is, why don't you take 455 from unassigned fund balance? Oh, that's.
John Morris, Select Board. State requires us to keep a minimum in that unassigned fund balance, so. Excuse me, John Morris, Chairperson of the Select Board. State requires the town to keep a minimum in the unassigned fund balance. With that minimum, we try to make sure that we have that, and then we also have in the ensuing warrant, another article, we're going to contribute $300,000 to abate taxes, taxpayers. So we did the math and we were able to give those two appropriations and maintain the minimum in there. That's your money. Town does not want to keep a high surplus. So we're trying to redistribute taxpayer money in appropriate places.
I'm gonna, Rodney first, and then you second. Thanks.
I don't understand why the word appropriate is in there. Isn't appropriation something voted on at town meeting that comes from taxes? Isn't this just a transfer? Usually appropriation is something that the town votes to pays taxes on to pay for something. Not sure why the word appropriate.
I think that's a legitimate question.
There's an
Are-
article that
are-
says to raise and appropriate, that's coming from taxes. But this is just a transfer.
Okay.
That could be amended. I agree with Rodney. The word appropriate doesn't necessarily need to be.
Okay, the answer to Rodney's question is that the word and appropriate does not need to be there and probably shouldn't be there. Therefore, we would entertain the motion could be amended.
amend Article 9 to see if the town will vote to transfer up to 300,000 from the unassigned fund balance to capital project.
Saying up to or just to transfer, period?
Well, it says up to, and I don't need to change that wording, I'm just trying to get the word appropriation out of there. Not appropriation.
Okay, I don't see up to in this particular article. That's my,
Right before 300,000.
okay, well, I have a older. Okay. I have a different copy. I apologize. Trying to slip one by you folks. Okay, I got caught. Okay, I have an amendment, a motion for an amendment. Do I have a second on that motion? We have a motion, an amendment, and it's been seconded. Any discussion about the amendment? Okay, we'll bring an amendment to the vote. All those in favor of amending the motion, raise your hand. Thank you. Opposed? Okay, the amendment passes. So in front of us now is the article to see if the town will vote to transfer up to $300,000 from the unassigned fund balance to the capital project fund. I believe that's correct. Thank you. Back to a discussion about the original motion. Any other discussion, comments? Sir?
Just a question, where does the money in the unassigned fund come from? How does it get there? How does it get into that fund?
That is a good question. I think it's germane to this discussion, so thank you. John, would you care to answer that?
So that's taxpayer money. That comes in from different revenue sources like
Excise
excise
tax.
tax. So we try to budget, we guess how much money is gonna come in excise tax every year. This year it was incredibly over. All that overage goes into the surplus fund. If departments don't spend all their money, it goes into the surplus fund, and that accrues over years. It's your money, select board always tries to give it back in whatever way we can. We're limited by state law. So that's where it comes from, okay? You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll bring Article 9 to a vote. Again, I'll take a voice vote on this. All those in favor of Article 9 as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment and article as amended passes. Did you get that, Becky? All set? Okay. Thank you. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to appropriate up to $153,231 from the capital projects fund for the purchase of the following items, or to see what action the town will take. Do I have a motion? Okay, and that would include in this case, the listed items there being air packs of 109,519, communications, $26,312, and a repeater system for $17,400 under public safety, are actually part of the article. Okay, thank you. Do we have a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion. I see you hiding. Good, I'm sorry, could you stand up, please? Question is, what are air packs? And this is under public safety. We have our chief here. Would you care to stand and identify yourself?
Jesse Peters, Al Road on the fire chief. Air packs are the packs that we put in to go into a school building or a building that doesn't have locks.
And they're good for how long?
They're generally good for about 15 years, ours are 20 years old.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. I'll bring Article 10 to a vote. All those in favor of Article 10, say aye. Opposed? Article 10 passes. Thank you. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to appropriate up to $268,000 from the capital projects fund for the purchase of the following items. Public Works, dump truck, truck 2 replacement, $268,000. Do I have a motion?
I move Article 11.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, questions? Over here. Sure.
Nick LaRochelle, 131 Lake Road. Are we purchasing a new one? Are we selling the old one? And do we have an expected return on sale of the old one?
Question, our Public Works Commissioner?
Matt Nielsen, Paulo Road, I'm the road commissioner of the town of Powell. So typically, yes, we do resell, we don't keep the truck in the due to the reason that we're selling the truck is because it's in fairly rough shape. We do expect to get some kind of a return out of it. It'll probably be somewhere between, say, 25 to 80 grand, depending on what they say. It's just like when you go to a car dealership. I couldn't give you a exact ballpark number, but that money that we get goes into that vehicle. So that in turn brings the price down in a sense.
And just point of clarification, the wording of the article says up to $268,000. So it could be less based on whatever that truck brings in the secondary market. Other questions? Mr. Schuman.
Paul Schuman, I'm chair of the capital improvement committee for all of these projects. Have to go through to get here. I just want to clarify that the $268,000 is from that committee through Matt's work, price of the new dump truck. And we always plan on the basis that there will be no salvage value or resale value. But that's the planning. Any proceeds from the recovery of that older vehicle goes back into the capital project fund to be used for funding future projects. And we've had, I think this past year, several pieces of equipment that were sold and built money went back into the capital project fund, aiding in supporting future capital projects.
Similar to, I think you touched on it, but anything that doesn't get spent, this is up to $268,000. Anything, say you only spent $250, the rest of that goes back.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, we'll bring Article 11 to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Article 11 passes. We're moving into the budget articles here, to see if the town will vote, will raise and appropriate $11,941 for a part-time IT position. And the breakdown is there. Do I have a motion? Paul?
I move Article 12 as read.
Do I have a second? Been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments on Article 12? Yes.
So I just have a question that this is for this percent IT position, but in Article 14, we have a general government compensation number. Is this in addition to that number, or is it including that?
This is a separate article, so it would be in addition to.
On the other.
My understanding is this is a new position and therefore it has this. That's my understanding, correct? Just in the interest of full disclosure, I'm on the budget committee as well, so I do have some of the answers. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring Article 12 to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article 12 passes. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise, see if the town will raise and appropriate $26,791 for part-time public works position. Do I have a motion?
Move Article 13 as read.
Do I have a second? Been moved and seconded. Article 13, questions or comments? Rodney?
I've always supported all the vehicles and everything, but this, from what I'm reading from the, warrant narrative, this person is to help fill in during vacations and things. I'm assuming that most people wouldn't be taking their vacations during plow season when it's absolutely necessary. And during the summer, I don't really know of any emergency work that if something doesn't get done, like if they don't mow the side of the road or something, that it's, the town's gonna suffer. So I'm questioning exactly what this person would do, and why we need this position. But whenever we put in a position, it tends to continue on and on.
Okay, would you care to respond?
I will respond to that, Roger. So, with this being said, this is the part-time position, for a public works employee. Part of that is to do with the workforce we have nowadays. It's hard to find help, and with this whole thing that all of us just went through called COVID, as we found out that sometimes you'll have times where you have a whole department or a whole team that's out and can't really do their job in a sense. And it's hard to call on part-time people and have people, especially like in during plowing season. If I don't have somebody that's coming in and plowing every storm for us, a lot of times they're gonna go plow for somebody elsewhere that they can. So it's hard to have that all the time person where, and that's what we've been trying to do recently in the last few years, where you have kind of a list of people that are on call in a sense, but you're never sure that you're gonna get one. So we made this a 20-hour-a-week position, so it's part-time, and that would be more for, it's gonna be more of a winter-based application, so it's probably gonna be 40 hours during the week, in some of the winter months. And in the summer months, they might not work every week, or they might work a day here or there. The other thing is, so it's mostly for like the plow season. We're just making it a part-time position to kind of cover all the bases. The summer portion of that is, yeah, we have a 4-man crew, but as most people know, a lot of times with a 4-man crew, if you have a guy in a machine, a guy or two in a dump truck, so you put one in a dump truck and one guy running the ground, that doesn't leave much for flagging and stuff of that such. So when we have bigger jobs where we're doing shouldering, which has to be done after we pay, and projects like that in a sense, where we really need an extra person, I'm not flying around trying to make phone calls and line people up to come work for the town for one day here and there. We have a designated person that we can say, okay, well, your 20 hours a week doesn't have to be every single week, but you're gonna come in and help us on 3 big projects this week for 2 or 3 days. And then, they might be off the next week. It's more of a way for us to button down and manage and really make that position so we can keep one person designated for that position.
Rodney?
So we only have 2 dump trucks that are operating at any given time, and we have a staff of 4. And I also believe we have an agreement that if we need help, like Durham would come in, help out. Sometimes Lawrence Road doesn't get plowed for an entire day the next day. So I mean, even if there's only 3 drivers, if someone has to come from Durham, I'm really questioning the need for this position in the summertime. I mean, for the last umpteen years, there's been enough people to do flagging roads. I don't see all of a sudden an emergency for that. So I really don't see the need for this position. I support you totally in the department, but I just don't see it.
I understand, and what I'll say to that is, everybody's kind of in a sense of every town's in the same position. And I can kind of assure you that if we had a major instance, we might be able to do that, but Durham has their people to plow their roads, and that's why we hire our people to plow our roads. And we're trying to be independent onto ourselves, just like you say, and kind of support ourselves in the town. So that's why, you know what I mean? That's why I'm reasoning. This is basically, it's a part-time position. It's not looking to get into a full-time position. It's just somebody that I know that I can call on and fill a position if I have to, in a sense of that. And with the summertime things, I understand what you're saying, but from a point of us, we don't just plow snow, we do a lot of different maintenance, grading roads, rebuilding roads. You know, we don't necessarily do paving ourselves, but we do a lot of the prep for paving and replacing culverts and all that stuff. That stuff needs to be done for the infrastructure of the town. We can't just lay blacktop over a road that has bad culverts in it. So we do have to have some of that stuff done in some time. And so, yeah, a lot of times our guys do take vacation because that's when they can take a vacation in the summertime. But it's hard when you have a crew of 4, you have 1 or 2 guys off, and that leaves you with 2 people to go do a job.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Sir?
Ryan Green, 150 Elmwood Road. And this will help not just with vacation. You know, our superintendent could be in the this. That would be.
Yes, that's correct. That's mainly.
Sir?
Hi, Henry Nicholas, Water Truck. I've never had an issue with the town plowing my part of Water Truck, thank you. How do you find someone for that kind of money that has a CDL list? And being dependable as you would.
I knew I shouldn't have hesitated. Okay. Matt, would you care to respond?
That's just one of those things that we're always looking for help, and that's part of the issue, with trying to, like I said, nail somebody down. But if you can put them into a 20-hour-a-week position that says, you know, we're kind of guaranteed to have you, because it is very hard to find people with a skill set to run heavy equipment or even carry a CDL license to drive these, big trucks. So yes, you are correct. So that's part of it is, instead of trying to scramble around and find people, you have one person who kind of help.
Sir?
And change before you follow up.
Yeah, you don't have to identify yourself every time. So,
So you have somebody on call or that must incur cost. And what would that look like compared to a $6,000 apartment?
Matt, I'll let you respond.
Is it similar?
So a lot of times, towns can't really pay each other for stuff like that. So a lot of times we do it in a bargaining trade. So we've done a lot of different things, and we work with our surrounding towns very well. But a lot of times, it's just like anything. Durham has their set of guys doing something. They don't usually just have them sitting around the shop that they want to say, they call me up and say, hey, you want a guy for this week? Because, you know, we're not losing them. Most of the time, you know what I mean? So we try to schedule stuff in advance like that, but for the majority of the time, they have their projects, we have ours, and we try to coexist, you know, sharing equipment or working together, like with line striping and crack sealing and stuff like that, bigger projects that you need, you know, 7 or 8 guys to do. Then we try to work as a team together between the 2 towns. But for kind of, I guess, packaging or paying for someone to come in and I don't know what the cost exactly would be for that.
I'm going to recognize gentleman in the back.
Michael Moore, Mr. Moderator, just a point of order is that I see people addressing individuals, and I'm concerned that they actually get out of hand. So
Thank you.
you could reinforce that they address you so that it's
I would be happy to. Thank you. Yep. Again, a reminder that people should direct their questions to the moderator. That's me, and I'll moderate the discussion. Okay. John, you've had your hand up.
Mr. Moderator, just so that Matt doesn't take the hit here. Select Board has entrusted the town's roads to the road department. We've asked the road department to upgrade our dirt roads, keep our paved roads intact, do all the ditching. So Matt is simply responding to the request from the Select Board. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but town roads are in great shape. The road department is doing an incredible job. As a Select Board member, I'm incredibly proud of the work they do. This time, they're going to be doing more work on dirt roads. Live on a dirt road, I think you can acknowledge that. It's pretty nice when it's ditched so that you don't have mud run every spring. So Matt is just, the road commissioner is responding to questions. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, John. Any other questions or comments on Article 13?
Just a quick comment. I just wanted to say thank you, John, for saying that, because as a close observer of how Matt leads his team, he does an incredible job, and our roads are in impeccable shape, and if Matt feels that that's needed to support the town moving forward, I support his request.
Okay, and in the vein of gentleman, Mike in the back, I'm going to suggest that we use people titles rather than individual names, so it's directed to the official and not the individuals. Okay, going forward. Thanks. Article 13, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor of Article 13, raise your hand. Thank you. Opposed? Okay, I have one hand in the back, two. Okay, I have the ayes have it. Article 13 passes. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $552,292 for general government. The Budget Committee is recommending $552,000, and the Select Board is recommending approval as well. Do I have a motion?
I move Article 14 as read. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussions, questions on Article 14, general government budget. Seeing none, we'll bring that to a vote. All those in favor of Article 14, say aye. Opposed? Say nay. The ayes have it. Article 14 passes. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $12,350 for human services. Budget Committee is recommending the Select Board $12,350, and the Select Board is recommending that. Do I have a motion?
Move Article 15 as read.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion about Article 15? Seeing no hands, we'll bring Article 15 to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Article 15 passes. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $48,900 for Mallet Hall. Now, Budget Committee and Select Board are recommending that amount. Do I have a motion? Paul?
I move that Article 16 as read.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions on Article 16? Alan?
Increase maintenance.
Question relates to what is the $10,480 increase in maintenance under Mallet Hall? Someone maybe from either Mallet Hall Committee or Budget Committee care to respond to that? Could you please stand to identify yourself?
Kathy Vogt, Boardway. That is a position or a line that we're going to have the town maintenance person work the hall on call as needed, paid hourly. Anyone in that back? Yeah, okay. So we think that line to cover all those. Well, it's on, like, who changed the light bulb, who changed the filters in the heater? We have no way to do that. We have some on call.
Any other questions? I'm gonna, in the back, please. Yeah.
Janet, you define life safety?
Question is, what is life safety? Someone care to answer that question? Andy?
Life safety is the testing of the fire alarm system, the fire extinguishers throughout the building, the sprinkler system, all the maintenance and testing for those systems.
Other questions? I saw a hand over here earlier. Alan?
Just on the explanation of the maintenance, having a person paying somebody to do these things, does this imply that these things were never done before?
The question is, were these things being done before? Or is that the implication of the article? Have somebody care to respond to that? John?
Typically, the road department would be called in, we'd draft them to come and do things for the very inefficient use of their time and stuff. This is just an opportunity really take a look at this building and get some things done that we neglected for 10 years. So the road department used to be our general contractor.
Comments or questions? Seeing no additional hands, we'll bring Article 16 to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Article 16 passes. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $184,839 for public safety. Budget Committee and Select Board are recommending that amount. Do I have a motion? Paul? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion on Article 17? Seeing no hands, we'll bring that to a vote. Oh, I'm sorry.
Just, we have somebody give us a brief explanation of why, say, operations is up 27% and is compensation up because paying them more, or I know we have more volunteers who are paid for, just a brief explanation of
Okay,
things that are going up.
thank you. Somebody that care to respond to that? Jesse?
Yeah, so we had a increase in our staffing, about 12 people, and, yeah, it was great. But operations wise, we have to, outfit them with gear and stuff. So that's a big chunk of that. And then, what was the other half of your question? The compensation?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so there's more people to pay, so compensation goes up, plus every year, minimum wage goes up, so when minimum wage goes up, they're paying.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Peters. Any other questions or comments on Article 18? Seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor of Article 18, say aye. Opposed? Excuse me, 17. Thank you. Somebody's paying attention. Let's go back for a vote on Article 17. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Thank you. Article 18, sorry, I'm just trying to get to the next one. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $921,879 for public works. Budget Committee and Select Board are recommending that amount. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion or questions on Article 18? Seeing no hands, we'll bring Article 18 to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Article 18 passes. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $166,223 for solid waste. The Budget Committee actually recommended $153,223. Select Board is recommending the $166,223. I will entertain a motion, though.
Motion to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $153,223 for solid waste.
Been moved and seconded with the figure of $153,223. Any questions or comments? Sir?
What is the line item AT bag?
Question is, what is the line item of pay T bags? It was going from 12,000 to 13, but I believe that that was dropping down to only $1,000 after the adjusted figure.
It's pay as you throw bags.
It's pay as you throw tags.
And in Article
Correct.
3,
Please.
What is the cost of the bins per household?
Okay. We're going to go back to what is the cost of the bins to the household? And since this is a solid waste budget, I will indicate that question is germane. Does someone care to respond?
I'm looking at Becky right now.
Okay,
So the cost is split over 4 years. Right now, we've only gotten this cost for this year because we are in the process of applying for a grant through the recycling partnership to help offset the cost. So I don't know at this point what it really boils down to per household. I can get back to you with the current estimate, but I suspect that's going to be high, so.
Can you tell us the cost of the first part?
Sure, our current contract for this year that's ending in a couple weeks is 87,000. The proposed contract coming up in this next year in this budget is 115,000. And that's mostly due to the cart purchase.
Okay, I'm gonna recognize another hand over here first. I'll come back to you. Rodney,
Can someone explain what the solid waste hauling amount is,
solid waste hauling amount.
what that entails?
Sure. Do we have someone who can respond to that? Heidi?
Okay, so I was gonna ask a clarifying question, but I think I this. So I'm guessing you're asking about the difference going up $28,000. So the projections that, I have to face you, right? I have to face this way?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, so the projection that is made is based solely off of our tipping fees from the previous year. And we do not go up too much from that number, but I talked to Becky or whoever's in the town office at the time, the administrator, about how many, and the code enforcement officer, of how many new households are added to our town each year. I do a percentage based off of how many more people are added, and we try to think about those habits of those households that are coming. The reason that number is 28,000 is because our tipping tonnage of our town went up that much the previous year. So it was not just based off of our poundage of or tons of that was dropped off, but the recycling rates are changing, and so the tipping fees for both recycling and trash, waste tipping has gone up significantly. So that's not just for the amount of tons that are increased, but also the percentage that was added.
Sure.
Sorry to keep asking, but I still don't understand, what is the cost of those two bins per household? Heard a very big number.
Okay, thank you. The question, I think, Becky, is do we have an estimate for what the individual bin cost for the two bins is per household?
I do not, because I'm waiting to hear on the grant. And I don't know how much money we're gonna get from the grant yet, which is gonna offset that. But if I can have some time, I can connect with you after and I can definitely get that information out. Yep.
That
Rodney?
So where is the cost of the bins in this category?
The question is, where do the cost of the bins appear in this budget?
Yes.
Okay,
it's in the solid waste hauling line.
in the solid waste hauling line, for those who didn't hear.
I'm sorry, so I misspoke before. So when I was talking about tipping fees, I was talking about the $4,700. It's a 21% increase in our waste line because of the tonnage change and the number that we're charged per ton going up. The recycling has also gone up in the percent that we are, the number we are charged per ton to tip, and that number of 28,000, 32%, that is the percentage going up for not just our bins, but just the increase in cost of hauling outside of the bins. Thank you for catching that and helping clarify.
Henry?
Oh, if one of these bins, maybe this is out of order right now, if they're lost or stolen or destroyed, what's it gonna cost the resident? No, don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna,
How's that gonna?
okay,
Answer her that question.
okay, I'm gonna allow that question,
So.
just to get the information out there.
All of the communication will be happening between you and Casella. We have set it up so that the town office is not who you will be contacting in those situations, because they are very busy managing what they're currently managing for our town. So anything that happens to your bins needs to be managed through you and Casella. Casella has asked people to set up an app so that they can make it easy to communicate with them. I realize that an app is not the best mode of communication for many people in this town. And so you need to be contacting Casella in other alternative ways, which is a phone call or email.
Any other questions on Article 19?
Has the waste committee done any research if it's A, possible, and B, how expensive it would be to bring our waste to the Freeport Recycling Center?
Would you care to address that, Chairperson?
We did not look into it soon enough before signing that previous contract. We started to look into it, but then we were up against a deadline that we had to sign. This was over a year ago, so a year and a half ago. That is on the table of things that we are looking at, exploring, as well as other towns that border us. And, the other ideas that have been mentioned out loud tonight, all of those things have been explored. And you're welcome to look at our minutes from our meetings to look at some of the things that we've explored already, but that we would like more people to help support us. We're a committee of 3 people, so that's a lot for the town changing to a 2-bin system is a huge thing for 3 people to manage. So I would love it if more people joined.
I'm going to recognize gentlemen in the back first. I see hands over here as well. Yeah. Can you speak up, Shane? I'm sorry. Excuse me? The comment is that based on his calculations, or what he's heard, the town will be paying $80,000 for the bins over the next 4 years within the contract. We're going to let our,
We don't know that yet because we don't have years 3, 4, and 5 pricing because again, it depends on the grant that the application was just submitted for today. So when you're looking at the math difference, yes, it adds up to that, but that's excluding this grant coming through, which will be factored into the upcoming contract prices. But again, we're not going to know that until after this grant's approved.
I'll come back. Gentleman in the front?
I was just curious, we don't know what the grant is, but do we know the cost if we get $0 grant dollars?
So the question is, do we know the cost if we do not have received the grant? Becky?
My guess would be that difference between the 87 and the 115 for this next year and the 3 years after. But their contract also for years 3 through 5 is based on the consumer price index of waste hauling. So we don't even have the base number of that, and we won't know that for even a year.
Sure, in the back.
Steve Groban. And moderator, not sure.
Okay.
But I would like to underline the statement from the representative of the Solid Waste Committee that the all the meetings are open to the public, are recorded and available online as our minutes. And I'm sure that they're very gratified with all the things that have been shown in this issue tonight. But I'm pretty sure almost all the questions are asked.
Oh,
Moderator, I heard a question from the back. Thought said $80,000. Heard an answer. Later said all of the $28,000 difference in the 2 years is the trash. Then I've heard the chair of the committee say that the $28,000 increase in hauling is the one increase in the hauling charges. And 2, he
increase because of the bins within that. So that's, if I heard that correctly, the bins are either $80,000 or $28,000. You narrowed it down, correct? Something other than- Am I hearing that correct?
Yes, so I would say that the reason we do not have an exact number is because there was no line item in our contract, what the bins actually cost us. If we had that, we would be supplying that to the town. But when you get a contract, so, you know, as we're hearing in our budget tonight and what we're voting on, every budget is going up a percentage because of just the cost of doing, just cost of everything now. Whether it's gas, paying your employees and maintaining vehicles, it's all going up in the cost. So Casella has worked that into the cost, and the bins are also in that contract. So I do not believe that you need an 80,000 for the bins, but you need to take into consideration that every year their budget is going up as well, encompassing all those other things that run their business.
So if I heard you correctly, to summarize your point, Casella's contract is less than transparent to be able to ferret out the details of that. Is that a fair summarization? Okay. Other questions?
That 28,000 would just be the proportion for this year, and it would be also next year and the year after, so it's not one, if we don't get the grant, it's not a one-shot deal. It would be that much for this year's portion, same amount next year and the year after, which is where the 80,000 comes from. My question, Mr. Moderator, is when negotiating this, Casella goes from a truck with 2 men on it with more insurance to a truck that's automated. Their insurance is less. They don't have to pay the extra driver. When it comes to redoing the negotiations, I know they've already been done, but are those factors considered in? Their costs are actually going down.
Okay, I had a hand up over here.
I just did a quick math on the, for CMP, I know when the power goes up. So I just did $25 trash.
Thank you. Gentlemen.
Is this contract that we're possibly going to approve here, is this an annual deal, or are we locked into that deal with them for like 5 years, 10 years?
The Article 19 is not entering into a contract. The contract exists and has already been entered into. It's a multi-year contract, is my understanding. So it is not germane to this particular article in that the contract has already been signed. Alan?
Something touched on very early conversation. If you go back to the case of throwback, we're not, we just altered an ordinance that eliminates that, did we not? Consequently, can we not eliminate the 13,000, go with the budget committee recommendation of 163,000?
That is the motion.
It is the motion.
It is the motion of 153,223. Yep, that's okay. Yep, moved and seconded.
We purchasing the bins from Casella, or is that from the?
The question is, could someone buy those bins other than from Casella? Presumably to save money for the town.
The contract is with Casella. Casella will be the ones supplying the bins to each household. The town is not going to be a part of this transaction. The town office is not a part of this transaction. That would take hiring another employee to manage that, especially with managing the calls that would be coming in to replace it and things like that. So it's just Casella, it's in the contract. And you are not able to use bins from somewhere else. They have to be the bins supplied by Casella. There's a barcode on the bins to your household and your address. So, yeah.
I saw another hand over here. No? You're just waving to me. Any other questions? Comments? Okay. Okay, Heidi.
I want to say thank you to the town for listening because this is not an easy transition. It's not one that I have personally taken lightly. And I know that when we did our, I think we did a vote or gathered information from the town from our, what's it called,
Comprehensive plan?
the comprehensive plan, that this is one of the most, the pay-as-you-throw-back system is one of the most popular things that the town does. There's huge agreement among townspeople that it works and they like it. And to do away with it is a really big deal, and it's painful, and change is painful. And I am part of that. I feel the pain. But we are already in this contract. If we were to not vote on this tonight, we'd be breaking a contract with Casella. I don't know what the consequence of that would be. The other thing I just would like people to know is that we understand, and I've advocated heavily about how challenging I think those bins will be on our roads, and how long our driveways are, and how the age of the population here, and how challenging that will be for people to get their trash to where it needs to go. I don't want you to feel like that hasn't been done for all of you at every meeting that this has been brought up at. And to the CEO of Eagle Maine, personally, I've called him several times and talked to him one-on-one, saying, you're not for this, town will independent unto their own. And I have said to him that we are not stepping down in these 4 years. He's not the one in charge of this, it's really Casella, but in the next 4 years, we are going to work hard at figuring out if this is right for Pownell, and if we need to move to a different option. And like I said, I welcome people to help us become more independent into our own. The other towns around us to track those pay-as-you-throw bags are actually agreeing to AI being within the trucks, taking pictures of your trash and your recycling and sending you messages and postcards showing you that you're in non-compliance. And I called and said that is an absolute not okay thing for town. So I just want you to know that we are working really hard on this. It's not something that has come easy for any of us on the committee and who's the select board when we've been talking about this. If you have any challenges at all, please let us know. We want to build a portfolio of the challenges for Pownell and why it's not working, and maybe even a case of why this contract is not, why they might be out of compliance with our contract. So if things happen, take video, take pictures. I still don't know how I'm going to gather that, but if somebody knows how to do that themselves.
I would suggest that the part-time IT person
Yes.
who is going to be working on the website may be able to assist you, and that many questions that people have, not just about this, but about the town in general, more and more information is always being posted on the website, and I think that would be a great spot to have that information posted to help folks out. Rodney?
I'm gonna keep this really quick, but something to think about. I mean, who gets contacted if a plow comes by and destroys the can? You call and, you know, it's a distinct possibility in the winter. Casella or the town, who's responsible for replacing it? It's gonna be a big burden on public works. And I really feel for them because I know they're gonna be in a tough spot, and just to throw it out.
It's a good question. I think it's one of those questions that will probably be answered in the frequently asked questions FAQ section on the website that for these issues. New issues are coming up all the time, my understanding, and that's a good one. I'm sure the Public Works Department wants the answer to that as well. I'll come back.
So we're out of compliance for the trash cans are supposed to be, do they just not pick up our trash? Do we get notified? It was brought up that knows AI, which is fantastic, in my opinion. What happens if you can't really get into compliance with our roads and our driveways?
That's a great question. Again, I think that some of those answers will be answered as best they can on the website, and there'll be information as to how to proceed with, kind of an appeal process or whatever.
I'd like to
But
also
sure,
answer that one.
yeah.
Because it is important. That's why I put out the tape with 3 feet between the two bins. I know that Falmouth has already put this system into place. They've been working out the kinks for them, even though they have curbs and other things. And it is not without its kinks. And so, if your bins are not 3 feet apart, they are not going to pick up your bins. And so, that's a big problem. And that's where I want people to record and take pictures and send information, and so that we can build, that to show that this, the challenge is profound.
Okay. Any other comments or questions germane to the article? Yes, I'll let you know.
Would like to just express my appreciation to the member.
Okay, thank you for the comment. Any other comments or questions at this point on Article 19? Alan?
We'll say this is probably turned out to be the biggest disaster that hit this town since I've lived here in 48 years. Without any question, I can think of 100 things I could bring up right now, which I will not. Negatives about this system. Thanks. I think one thing that I will say, in fairness to the recycling committee, it was noted that they didn't have time to look into town of Freeport. That's not on them. They didn't have time. That's now on the selectmen, as far as I'm concerned, for letting this go through without that. I'm going to vote for this. I'm going to join the committee, by the way. You have.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll bring Article 19 to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? I have Article 19 passing. Thank you very much. Good discussion. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $3,700 for Panel Center Water Association. Budget Committee and Select Board are recommending that. Do I have a motion?
Move Article 20 as read.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions on Article 20? Seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Article 20 passes. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $6,000 for cemeteries. Do I have a motion?
Article 21 is read.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on Article 21? Okay, we'll move that to a vote. All those in favor of Article 21, say aye. Opposed? Nay. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $271,164 for debt service and other obligations. Budget Committee and Select Board are recommending that amount. Do I have a motion?
I move Article 22 as read.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions on Article 22? Seeing none, we'll bring that to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Article 22 passes. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $500 for the Recreation Committee Enterprise Fund. Select Board and Budget Committee are recommending that amount. Do I have a motion?
I move Article 23 as read.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any question on Article 23? Seeing none, I'll bring that to a vote. All those in favor of Article 23 say aye. Opposed? Okay. Article 23 passes. Article 24, to see if the town will appropriate up to $11,200 from the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, AKA American Rescue Plan, or ARPA funds, received by the town from the federal government for the following project: backup generator for the North Station Fire Department building to run the repeater tower. Select Board is recommending approval. Do I have a motion?
Move Article 24 as read.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on Article 24.
Question, do they
Sure.
not have any
The question is this a new generator or is it replacing one that's already there? Chief Peters, would you care to respond?
Sure. Yes, we do, and, right now we have a battery backup system to do that. Open up, well, until somebody can get up there and fire off the generator. In long durations, somebody has to continually go up there, refill the generator. And then we run into the problem of the battery bank possibly discharging. The other thing too is the overhead doors don't work on that generator. All it does is power the repeater to a cord, and the heat doesn't work, the lights don't work. Nothing works except for the repeater on the current generator. The proposal for the new generator would run the entire building so that everything would function, and it would keep the trucks charged up as well.
Any other questions on Article 24? Seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Article 24 passes. Article 25, see if the town will appropriate up to $60,000 from the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, AKA American Rescue Plan, or ARPA funds, received by the town from the federal government for the following project: renovating 2 rooms in Mallet Hall for additional office space. Do I have a motion?
Move Article 25.
Do I moved and seconded? Any questions or comments on Article 25? Seeing none, I'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Article 25 passes. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $15,000 for the Economic Development and Sustainability Committee to investigate water capacity in the Village District as part of the work charged to the committee. Select Board is recommending approval. Do I have a motion?
Move Article 26 as read.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions, comments on Article 26? Alan. Alan is looking for an explanation on Article 26. Anyone care to respond? Andy?
We're doing a water capacity study for the Pownell Center Water Association to see if it would sustain any fire protection water or other necessary water for economic expansion in the village district.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor of Article 26, say aye. Opposed? Article 26 passes. Article 27, to see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate up to $50,000 from the unassigned fund balance for exploration of a site and design draft of a public safety and/or public works facility for future facilities. Select Board is recommending approval. Do I have a motion?
Move Article 27.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Discussion on Article 27? Seeing none, sorry, Alan?
I guess I'm Mr. Old Time, $50,000 sounds like a lot of money. Yes, it is what it is.
Henry?
I think that was a good question. I mean, let's break it down. What's that, like, how's the money get divided? Is there an engineer or who's looking at this?
Someone care to answer that question? John, I'm sorry, Patrick.
Question.
Could you identify yourself, sir?
Patrick Christian, 101 Layton Road. The Future Facilities Committee, the last 2 years, been working diligently to take what the town has determined over the last 2 comprehensive plans. We need to make major investment in public works, public safety building. It is a needs assessment. We've done a preliminary architectural design. We now have to go through continued wetland and other engineering design. So what we need is up to $50,000 in anticipation that more studies will have to be done before the site gets all the approvals.
Questions or comments? Over here, Heidi.
Questions on the language of that Again, are we transferring or appropriating?
Good question.
Transfer.
Would someone care to make an amendment, propose an amendment to the motion that's on the floor?
Make
Becky,
that-
hang on for a second.
Can I just clarify that the transfer would be moving the money from the unassigned fund balance and then the appropriate is allowing the expenditure of it?
Okay. And the difference between this one and the previous one that we had this issue on was the previous one was transferring money from unassigned to the capital projects fund. There was no expenditure in that article. The expenditure out of that fund came in the subsequent article. So that language should be in there. Any questions or comments? Alan?
I didn't get a, my mind, an adequate answer to what's $50,000. Sounds like a lot of work has been done. It's in anticipation of possible costs. What's the possible cost to come up with $50,000?
Chairperson of the Future Facilities Committee, would you care to
Again,
help to address that?
Anticipate, because the committee has finished the preliminary work. We've worked with the architects. We've now brought on environmental assessment folks. We don't really know exactly what might be needed to make sure that the land and our design is going to meet all the requirements. So what the select board suggested, and we worked with the select board, was that we have an amount of money, a request, in case we needed to do additional studies in order to make the site and the facility ready to go to the next phase, which would be conceptual and structural design.
Any other questions or comments?
Mike Pasquarello, Lawrence Road, member of the Facilities Committee. I'd like to also add that you don't have the ability to request the select board to approve a contract. This is up to the committee. The request would have to be made. Please, anyone correct me on the select board wrong. We would have to bring the contract, them, be approved. That our committee is at a standstill until the next opportunity to essentially appropriate funds. We'd like to send two comprehensive plan suggestions and move forward. Continue with work, be able to move forward.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on Article 27? Seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor of Article 27, say aye. Opposed? I have the ayes have it. Article 27 passes. Article 28, to see if the town will vote to accept and apply $737,380 of the following non-property tax revenues to reduce the total amount authorized to the tax rate to be raised by taxation, and to see if the town will authorize the select board and town treasurer to accept any additional revenues or funds and expend any other revenue from state, federal, local, and private sources for the support of the town that may be used to reduce the amount required to be raised by taxation. Select board is recommending that. Do I have a motion? A second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions on Article 28? Seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor of Article 28, say aye. Opposed? Article 28 passes. These are moving into the business articles. Article 29, to see if the town will vote to appropriate up to $12,560 from the dedicated impact fee overlaying town-owned land, Sweetser Road, map 4, lot 20. Do I have a motion? Second? I have a motion. Do I have a second? Thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any comments or questions on Article 29? Alan? Okay, the question is why? Someone care to respond to that? Sir?
Matt Welch, Pickett Road, Conservation Commission. This is an ongoing effort we've been working on for the past several years, to survey town-owned land. So far, we've done the Hodson Road mill site, the Layton Road parcel, Poland Range Road, Elmwood Road parcel, and this is the last major piece, just so that we have, you know, clear boundaries and what the town has.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll bring Article 29 to a vote. All those in favor of Article 29, say aye. Opposed? Article 29 passes. Article 30, to see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate up to $300,000 from unassigned fund balance to minimize the tax mill rate increase. Select Board is recommending approval. Do you have a motion?
Move Article 30.
I have a second.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Questions or comments on Article 30? Alan?
Does that relate to all this money we just, projecting, accepting from a variety of sources? It looks like we're gonna be possibly pulling in $737,000. What does it relate to this?
The question is,
300 that we're going.
Mr. Morris?
So this money, Mr. Bradford, Mr. Moderator, this money is currently in the unassigned fund balance. The previous amount of money that was referenced by the speaker before me is anticipated revenue for this year. So this money is just money. We started for the town meeting at about $2,500,000. We're trying to take some of this money, which is your money, give it back to the taxpayer. This particular article is trying to put it into the mill rate negotiations, so to reduce your tax mill rate. So previous amount was the amount of revenue that's been coming into the town. This $300,000 is money that's already in the unassigned fund balance. And two separate.
I'm sorry, what I heard you say was that this money would be used to reduce the tax rate increase or the mill rate. And it sounds like that to me implied that it is reducing, our mill rates will go down. Is that what I heard?
Well, that would probably be a political promise. No, we haven't set the mill rate.
Thank
It's
you.
trying to mitigate any taxation.
Okay.
Still haven't set the mill rate.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Rodney?
Again, the question of, is this going from one fund to another? Is we can eliminate appropriate, when it goes to reduce taxes, where's it going to? Is it going to general fund or, I mean, so is this a transfer or a transfer and appropriate? Where's the money being transferred to?
I believe that the money gets transferred to the revenue stream to offset and to go into the calculation for the mill rate going forward.
But revenue stream is a pretty big, I mean, it's gotta go to some place, like to the town, to the surplus fund, it's gotta go from one fund to somewhere.
It is coming from the unassigned fund balance, which is also known as the surplus. It's one and the same, okay? And it is going to be used in the calculation for the tax rate going forward. It, correct me if I'm wrong, but it will basically be going to pay for any number of these items that have been passed in the budgetary items.
So you need both the transfer and the appropriation.
I believe that we do in this case, yes, because it's not going into a stationary fund. It will be spent. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Alan?
Quick clarification.
Sure.
Previous article was $737,000. And that goes into surplus basically.
No, and I speak, if I can, just with a budget committee hat on. The revenues, the surplus is what's left over at the end of the year. Okay? That's the only time that balance is calculated. The revenue stream is going into the calculation, is going into the bank so that we can pay our bills. At the end of the year, we look at what we took in versus what we spent, and any excess is surplus. And it gets added to that balance. We're now transferring some of that surplus that's accumulated in previous years and going to apply it to helping to pay for some of the stuff this year so that we can reduce the tax rate or reduce the increase in the tax rate going forward. Does that help explain? Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll bring Article 30 to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Article 30 passes. Article 31, to see if the vote will see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate funds remaining in the Pownell Center Water Association, AKA PCWA, operating funds at the end of fiscal year 25 to the PCAWA Reserve Fund. Do I have a motion? It's moved and seconded. I have a question. Does that read fiscal year 24 or 21? You have one for 24. Okay, so that's perspective. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Rodney? It is.
Can I amend it?
You can make a motion to amend it.
Make a motion to amend it to see if the town will vote to transfer funds remaining in the Pownell Center Water Association, AKA PCWA operating fund, and FY 25 PCWA Reserve Fund.
Do we have a second on that amendment? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion about the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed? Okay. The article now reads to see if the town will vote to transfer funds rather than and appropriate. Any other questions or comments? None? I'll bring that to a vote. All those in favor of Article 31 as amended, say aye. Opposed? Article 31 passes as amended. Article 32, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to explore acquiring the hall from North Pownell Community Club located at 857 Lawrence Road for use as a town building for $1, or to see what action the town will take. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Questions or comments on Article 32? Alan?
Yes, on the community club, and by the way, I live across the street from it, so that's worth it. I don't understand the motion at all. It's authorized the select board to look into it. Of course, are we authorizing them to potentially buy it for $1? What are we authorizing here?
Question is, what are we authorizing here? Go back to the specific language of the article. Rodney?
Well, I'm same question as Alan. I assume it means we're just exploring it because if the town takes on a building and plan, the town's responsible for all the maintenance of that building. There's tons of expenses that come with accepting a building. And I think a lot of that needs to be looked into. If they're just going to explore it, that's fine. But this just says to explore it. And I'm okay with that. But if it's acquiring, I'm definitely against it.
Anyone on the select board care to expand?
Yes, Mr. Bronner. So the North Pownell Community Club came to me as a member of the North Pownell Community Club. Their membership is dwindling and the use of the building is dwindling, and the question came, what will happen to this building? Well, this building is a historic property. So I told the North Pownell Community Club, with Pat Hodgson as the president, that the select board would come to the town meeting and ask the town meeting whether or not the town meeting would authorize the select board to look at whether or not it's in the best interest of the town, for the town to purchase that building for use as a town property to house committees, whatever. But the town can't move into any kind of sale without exploring all the permutations, what would happen. So that's why this article just says, as Mr. Rashad said, town will authorize the select board to explore all the possibilities of purchasing this building, not to purchase, just to see all the conditions. Then if it decides to move forward, it has to come back to the town to authorize the purchase of the building.
Rodney,
Moderator, I would recommend to the Board of Select Persons that they look at a nonprofit taking it over. Like I said before, it's a headache for the town, you've got insurance, you've got property, you've got umpteen different costs involved. A nonprofit, it's a historic building, a nonprofit would be a great way to go.
thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes,
Just to give you a little.
I'm sorry,
background, Pat
I'm-
Washington,
thank you.
859 Lawrence Road.
Like that.
I was a part actually of the process of getting it to this point, but to give you a little bit of background, North Pownell was described to me years ago by the late Sherry Dietrich as being the last section in Pownell that's still pretty much intact historically. And I think we've lost about 2 buildings in that Four Corners, that little hamlet up there. And this would be another one that we're basically trying to save. And so somehow or another, again, not to my knowledge, it got to this point with John Morris's efforts to see if the town would take it. The building has no plumbing. It has a heating system. So there's limitations and it has very little land. So there's limitations to what it can be used for, but that also means there's limitations to, I think, keeping it up as well. The community club currently has a little bit of money, and our plan is to spend the rest of what we have, or pretty much the rest of what we have, on doing repairs to the building before it would get turned over to the town. Just to kind of, put that in there. So you're not, apparently, we were kind of hoping there would be a vote on it this evening, but apparently that's not the case. But I just wanted to give you that background. The community club as a social organization has been in existence since, what would you say, Alan, 1940s? Okay, for a very long time. It's dwindled down to hardly any members, and that means also there's hardly any of us that are trying to keep that building up as well. So anyway, I personally, I would love to see the building become the home for the Pownell Historical and Scenic Society. I think it would be a great, it's a historic building, it'd be a great location for them, if that's a possibility.
Okay, Pat. So as I understand it, Article 32 does not authorize purchase of the property. It's only to explore what those options and implications would be.
Mr. Moderator, I noticed that there's not a select board recommendation for approval or disapproval. But I'd be interested in hearing that issue would be cleared up.
This,
Sure.
Mr. Moderator, the select board is asking permission to explore the possibility, therefore we cannot recommend approval or disapproval.
John,
I have a call for amendment. And see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to explore requiring the call from the North Pownell Community Call for 7 Lawrence Road for use as a town building, or to see what action the town will take. It's crossing out 4-1 dollar.
okay, I'm going to actually rule that amendment. I'm going to go back and I'm going to rule that the motion itself was out of order because it says board to see what action the town will take, which is too open-ended for for a motion. So would you care to revise that amendment?
Just to end it at, after town building. Strike for $1 or see what actually happens. The idea is that it gives them the option to look at it without committing to buying.
So it would be a period after town building and strike the rest. Okay, we have an proposed amendment. Do I have a second for that, dropping the end of that original motion with a period after town building? We have an amendment that's been on the floor for discussion. Any questions about the amendment? Seeing none, we'll bring the amendment to a vote. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have the ayes have it. The motion now has been amended to see if the town will vote to authorize select board to explore acquiring the hall from North Pownell Community Club located at 857 Lawrence Road for use as a town building, period. Do I have any other further discussion on that? Alan?
That it would be appropriate, after to, change this to say, to the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to, explore acquiring the hall and purchase at their discretion for $1. Is that too far beyond what this thing says?
It is not too far beyond what the printed or what the published article was, so I would entertain an amendment that might speak to that, if you care to propose it.
Then I make that amendment.
I'm sorry, John?
There's been an amendment proposed, but no second.
I'm sorry, there was a second. No, I haven't heard the amendment. I'm waiting for clarification on the amendment. Okay, and then I'll repeat the amendment, but thank you. No, the amendment was from John Baldwin, and it spoke to putting a period after town building. I believe that is my understanding, but I haven't heard that articulated yet.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. Alan?
The amendment was, the article would read, to see if the town would vote to authorize the select board to explore, and purchase at their discretion, the hall from the North Pownell Community located at 857 Lawrence Road, the use of the town building for $1. Period.
Do I have a second on that amendment? I have a second. Okay, any questions about the amendment? Orion?
Wait, the amendment was worded to make it not like permission for them to buy this.
At $1 was my understanding what the amendments limited it to a $1.
Are we giving them permission to acquire it?
That would be the essence of the amendment, yes.
That's what I was going to say, is this gives them permission to buy it without coming back.
That's my interpretation of how that amendment would read. And that amendment was seconded. So we're questioning the amendment now, or discussing the amendment. Any other questions about the amendment? If not, we'll bring that to a vote. All those in favor of adopting the amended article, say aye. Opposed? Okay, I have the amendment voted down. So we're back to the original amended article that John Baldwin had proposed with a period after town building. Any further discussion on the motion as amended at this point? Seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? I have Article 32 passing. Article 33, and we're going to bring the hand count for this one, to see if the town will enter into an easement agreement with Royal River Land Trust for property located at Elmwood Road, map 9, lot 43, or to see what action the town will take. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Is it moved and seconded? Discussion, questions on Article 33? A question in the back?
There were a lot of different opinions expressed through meetings, survey, and also many comments. The only thing the town agreed on was to keep on the rural and like. And one of the mechanisms, again, that the survey and comments supported was protecting land for easements, specifically to the Royal River Conservation Trust. So this is something that has been supported, and I would like to hope that everyone can vote positively for this.
Okay, other questions?
Yep, Scott Pollock from Elmwood Road, 860 Elmwood Road. So I agree with kind of what you're saying, but this is a 90-acre lot of town-owned property. And the Royal River Conservation wants to put a trail through this property. So I'm kind of against the actual easement for the full 90-acre lot and maybe in favor of easement for the trail access located somewhere on the property.
Okay, other questions or comments? Matt?
Well, there is an existing loop trail that is, we think it was like an old road or something, but so it's quite a wide trail. There would be no new trails built. It's just maintaining and managing the existing trail that's already there.
Any other questions or comments? Orion?
Is this connected physically with the Chandler Brook Preserve, abutting and my parcel?
Question is, does this abut Chandler River Preserve? And does someone from, that is close enough to the maps can answer that? I don't believe, Matt?
No, not.
Okay, the answer is no.
Located on the south side of Elmwood.
Other questions or comments? Yeah. I'm sorry, I just can't hear you. I'm sorry, can somebody repeat? Okay, I apologize, my hearing's.
Yes, this was voted to be moved forward. Would the mobile home lot, be overlay, thank you, be moved to another location?
Okay, the question is, would this affect the zoning for mobile home overlay that's currently in place that presumably is in effect on this property? Somebody answer that question?
No, it would not affect. There would be no transfer, there would be no mobile, and that would be,
My understanding is that would require a separate article.
that requires a separate article, vote.
Any other questions or comments? Alan?
Why can't this trail just, it's town property, why can't it be used without an easement? I don't understand why we're doing this.
Question is, why can't the trail exist without an easement? Have a in the back?
Yeah, it's really not just about the trail, of course, you have the trail, we already have the trails knocked it out. But the town owns this land, and as was, pointed out, just recently, we're gonna keep Pownell the way it is, we treasure our rural landscape. You're gonna have to be proactive about it, you can't just be, complacent and think, oh, well, this land is around. Putting it under a conservation easement will protect this land in perpetuity, so that we continue to hunt on it and hike on it and enjoy it, and not worry about it being cut up. and you sell it, and that's what.
Any other comments or questions? Chief Peters?
Yeah, so if this were to pass, would the town ever be able to use that property for anything else? Like say they needed to put a facility.
Matt?
The answer is no. The land could not be sold, divided, or developed. I will say that, you know, the town will still own the land and it will remain in the forest management program, which is a sustainable timber harvest every 20 to 25 years. And the last one in 2020-21 brought in over $25,000 for the town.
Okay, and it's just my understanding, to help clarify that, is that an easement can be changed if you end up going through the courts in some fashion. It is, so amendments, you know, easements can be modified, but it is not an easy process, if that clarifies things for you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring Article 33 to a vote with a hand count. All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Opposed? I have the ayes have it unless anyone disagrees. Okay, Article 33 passes. Article 34 is a written ballot by law to see if the town will vote to exceed the property tax levy limit established for the town of Pownell by the state law in the event that the municipal budget approved under the preceding articles results in a tax commitment that is greater than a property tax limit. Select Board's recommending approval. This is an annual article of housekeeping. Do I have a motion?
Article 34.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussions? Oh,
The article says, in the event that the municipal budget is approved, the tax is greater than property tax. Are we in the event or are we not?
the question is, where does the budget stand vis-a-vis the tax limit?
We are not gonna go over, but we keep this as a housekeeping article, so that way, if we ever do, we can go back to the last year it was voted on, which was be each subsequent years.
Okay, now, again, has to be a written ballot. Unfortunately, folks, state law. So, Becky?
So we have ballot cards and pens that it might be easier if we pass out and then try to collect instead of maneuvering around, if everybody is okay with that. Normally, we'd have you come up and deposit your ballot, but I think it might be a little tight in here for that tonight. So, okay.
And it is okay to fold your ballot? We hand it in to maintain privacy if you would like. Just don't stack them up and fold. You think? We have a couple of folks that will help hand out, then collect. We have, if you need a pencil or pen, talk to your neighbors. Meantime, I guess we're going to take a break. Oh, we do have pens. Okay. Yeah, get back. We did the budget. Oh.
Interesting.
I've got you.
Well, it's not about that you want it all, you want to buy
Okay, have you turned in your ballots? We have some ballots, please? They're coming. Let me take it.
Don't move around too much. I'm collecting. Sorry, Craig.
Yeah. Collecting pens?
I'm not collecting ballots. I'm not collecting pens. Thank you. Becky, we need more.
Here's your blank. Okay, any more for the ballot box? Still coming. Any more? Okay, yes. So we're gonna come back to Article 34. They're gonna count them out here in the open, but in the interest of time, unless anybody objects, we're gonna go on to Article 35. Article 35, to see if the town will vote to set September 15th, 2024, December 15th, 2024, March 15th, 2025, and June 15th, 2025 as the dates on which 1/4 of taxes shall be due and payable, and to charge interest at the rate of 8.5% per year, computed on a daily basis on any portion of the installment dues that remain outstanding as of January 16th, 2024, December 16th, 2024, March 16th, 2025, and June 16th, 2025. Also, to see if the town will permit the tax collector or their designee to waive unintentional tax interest payment shortages in an amount not to exceed $5, and to see if the town will vote to authorize the tax collector to accept payment of real estate property taxes not yet due or assessed pursuant to 36 MRSA Section 506. The town does not apply any interest on such collections. Do I have a motion? You don't want to read it? All those in favor? Okay, I'm sorry. We have a motion that's seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of Article 35, say aye. Opposed? Article 35 passes. Still counting the vote on 34. Article 36, to see if the town will vote to set 4.5% as the rate to be paid by the town on abated taxes pursuant to 36 MRSA MSRA, section 506-A, and to authorize such interest paid or abatements granted to be appropriated from overlay funds or if necessary from unassigned fund balances, AKA surplus. Board is recommending approval. Do I have a motion?
Move Article 36 as read.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions on Article 36? Oh, we do have a question. Abatement is if someone has been overtaxed on their property and they've made a request and it is, that amount would be abated back to them. It's been paid. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of Article 36, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article 36 passes. Article 37, to see if the town will vote to authorize select board to transfer not more than 3% of the town's budgeted expenditures between budget line items within individual departments, provided that the town's total budgeted expenditures shall not be in. Even the gavels had it. I'll take a motion. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Bill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions on Article 37? Seeing none, I'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Article 37 passes. How are we doing on the vote? Okay, we're going to go back to Article 34. And if you could just tell me what the totals are. Okay, the results of Article 34, which is a written ballot authorizing the town to exceed the tax levy limit if necessary, 57 yes, 3 no, and 1 blank. Anybody question that? Okay, Article 34 passes. Thank you. Article 38, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to transfer any unexpended funds to the carry forward accounts within departments to complete projects from the previous fiscal year. Select board is recommending approval. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? For moved and seconded. Any discussion on Article 38? Rodney?
It's the small projects. I know large projects, it's required by state law. If it's not finished, the money stays in to finish our project. This is small projects.
This is for the general budget. If it is not for capital project funds, if that was the point, yeah. So this would account for if, the paving just the contract couldn't be completed over over the end of the fiscal year, but it's being paid for with current fiscal years.
This money's already been appropriated now.
Correct. Yeah. Without this, it would have to go back to surplus and, we'd be in violation of some contracts probably. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of Article 38, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article 38 passes. Article 39 is see if the town will vote to authorize the select board and the town treasurer on behalf of the town to accept any gifts, unanticipated donations, or pass-through funds which may be provided by individuals, business associations, charitable groups, and/or other organizations which have not been listed in any of the previous articles. If the select board determines that such gifts, donations, or pass-through funds and their purposes are in the best interest of the town and to expend such funds for their intended purpose. Select board is recommending. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Moved and seconded. Any questions on Article 39? Yeah.
Is that made public, like, is it public knowledge, which businesses try to?
The question is on the gifts or donations, would those be made public? My understanding is it'd be a public record.
Those gifts are always acknowledged at a select board meeting, it's open to the public and it's reported.
The answer is yes. Any other questions? Jesse?
Would this also include, grants from FEMA or other entities?
And under the pass-through funds grants, yes. It would be covered under this article. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 39, say aye. Opposed? Article 39 passes. Article 40, see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to seek, accept, and disperse grant funds. I'm sorry, I will retract my answer from 39. See if the town will vote, it's a trick question, wasn't it, Jesse? See if the town will vote to authorize the select board to seek, accept, and disperse grant funds from private, county, state, or federal agencies for the purpose of designating each specific grant. Do I have a motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any questions on Article 40? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Article 40 passes. To see if the town will vote to allocate funds received from the registration of snowmobiles to Rocky Coast Riders and Tri-Town Penguin Snowmobile Club for the purpose of maintaining their snowmobile trails, which are open to the general public without charge for snowmobile purposes and any other uses that may be authorized by the property owner. Select Board is recommending approval. Do I have a motion? Do I have any questions on Article 41? Seeing none, we'll bring Article 41 to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Article 41 passes. I believe that we have a motion to adjourn. I think the business before the town. It's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, folks.